Well, hello everybody, and welcome to a Condish Anime Talk. I am Scott.
And I am Joe.
And we're gonna talk some anime.
We're gonna talk about some anime.
Yeah, we're gonna do the first. This is our first one in a long time. We did the Fully Cooley one.
I wasn't on that one.
And then
We did Megalobox.
I did not do the Megalobox one, but this is like the first. This is like the first one where we're actually intending to keep it going as a series. And I don't know which one of you guys picked this one. I didn't pick it, but we're gonna do Perfect Blue. I do think that if we're gonna start it back up, if we're gonna start with a classic, this is a great way to go.
Yeah.
I like this movie. I don't fucking understand this movie. I remember I saw it.
Well, it's a Satoshi Kon movie.
Satoshi Kon, who also did
Paprika, Tokyo Godfather,
Opus, the manga Opus. He did that
did
as
he
well.
do that?
He did do that.
and he did a lot of great stuff. He did oh man, I'm gonna kick myself. It's the one with Lil Slugger.
I don't know.
It was a series. But yeah.
Well, don't worry. Someone in the comments will tell us and let us know that we're horrible weebs who don't know what we're talking about.
I appreciate it.
I got to see this movie recently in the theater with my cousin Mandy. They did a Fathom event for it at the Cinemark at theater at Arundel Mills. Cool. So I got to watch this movie in the theater. That was the first time I actually got to see it. Now, I watched the dub version. I did not watch it in Japanese.
I watched it in Japanese.
I feel like this was one of those movies where I don't think the language matters. So it's more like just watch it how you're comfortable with. Like, other than like how idol culture is in Japan, I mean, there's really nothing in it that I think feels like is really lost in translation.
Yeah, and for those who aren't the biggest anime people and are just trying to figure out how to dabble, and stumbled upon this video, Perfect Blue was loosely kind of adapted into like kind of Black Swan is very similar. Yeah. Not really adapted.
Well, speaking of loose, I can't remember if it was a novel or a manga. I want to say it was a novel that this is based off. It's very loosely based as well. So there's a lot of very loosely based.
So the story revolves around Mima, who is a part of an idol group, and she's about to strike off on her own. She wants to focus on being an actress.
Yes. Well, she thinks she wants to be an actress.
Well, no, she does. It's just she has doubts and stuff that show up in the movie. And
well, I mean, she thinks she wants to be an actress because like there's so much stuff going on. Right. She kind of doesn't. It's almost like she almost has a sense of like she kind of wants to fall back. Well, I wouldn't call it falling back because her group ends up being successful after she's gone. But it's like she's kind of she's very uncertain as to what she truly wants to do.
Yeah, and basically she's about to leave her idol group, and the movie's a lot about how idol and celebrity culture tends to be, like, not just in Japan, but also in other places as well, because there's a lot of other scenarios that seem to have either been influenced or had influenced this story.
I'm going to have to side with you on this one because really I couldn't make heads or tails of this movie. But I've never had such a good time and so much enjoyment being confused as watching this movie.
It could be very surreal. It's one of those movies that
could be.
It works much better in animation because you're able to do all kinds of. You get to bend reality a lot more.
You can get angles that you couldn't get. You can get effects that just would not look right.
Yeah.
CGI or practical. You're really the only limit is your imagination. And I think this is definitely a movie that if they wanted to do it the way the movie, like a live action, the way the movie did it, I don't know about the novel. I've never read it.
You would have to,
but it would take a lot more effort than I think anyone's willing to put in, which is probably why I never got a true live action version, American or Japanese for that matter.
Yeah, and you'd have to change a lot of it because it's idol culture is such a Japanese thing. Like, there's people that know about it.
Yeah. Well, if you made an Americanized version of it, I would say.
I would assume if you make a theatrically released live action version of this movie, you're gonna want to send it to multiple countries. You know what I mean?
When it comes to the idol culture, though, I think nowadays, I don't think you'd have to tweak as much of it. I definitely think
then you
like
would've.
even as short as 10 years ago, I think you would have to.
Yeah.
But I think nowadays, now that like Japanese culture is so much more accepted by American audiences and truly understood, it's not just Japan's crazy.
But
I think nowadays you wouldn't have to do too much tweaking, but definitely some tweaking.
I think for a general American audience, you would have to do a lot of tweaking.
Oh, for a general American audience, yes.
But it's a story about her striking off on her own, trying to reinvigorate her image as no longer being an idol, like, because they're seen as super innocent.
Yeah.
And like they're not really sexualized in a way, but they kind of are.
They're kind of okay. So the way idols are presented in Japan,
really weird.
They're presented as like almost like grown-up little girls,
right?
You know, like they're cutesy, they're innocent, and you know they're usually free from scandal. And usually when scandal follows, that's when they're usually out.
Which is where this movie kind of like hits those moments, like when she wants to be a more serious actress and she gets pushed into doing very scandalous stuff.
Yes.
So there's really a point of no return. And then on top of that, you have her old fans that were following her as an idol.
Yeah.
Who feel betrayed by her, because the way that it works is like a lot of the idols kind of they're sort of like marketed as like super accessible, and they like answer fan mail all the time.
And she was one of them.
Yeah, and so there's like this really strong connection with the fans, this kind of almost like a kayfabe for like wrestling in a way, where everybody understands kind of their role.
And there's a connection with one fan in particular.
Yeah, and there's one fan that is starting to get feel
too connected.
And
too personal.
He shows up a lot. He's very silent and like threatening. And it turns out that there's a lot more going on than we thought.
Oh, there's a lot more going on in this movie.
So a lot of the people in charge, because Mima gets scared easily about a lot of these things and a lot of these threats, but
she thinks it's all directed towards her, even though other people are kind of inadvertently taking the bullet for her. Mm-hmm. And I mean, I would be worried if that was going on.
But the agents and the managers, they don't really put any stock into what's going on in these threats.
Yeah, they kind of downplay a lot of stuff, and it's like, I mean, as the audience, you're like, guys, like,
until things start happening,
you really need to be paying attention to this stuff.
Yeah,
but
it basically, the story revolves, and I won't spoil too much.
It's a hard movie to spoil, honestly, because like
there's a crazed fan who like stalks Mima and knows everything. And has this website where she's like acting as Mima and like writing out a diary as if she was Mima, and it's like super personal stuff that nobody else was around, so she gets really freaked out.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden people around Mima, especially ones that have been pushing her in these different directions, the scandalous ones with the acting, they ended up dying.
Yeah.
They get brutally killed.
Yeah. I remember particularly the guy in the elevator, like his eyes and everything.
Yeah.
Ugh.
A lot of it has to do with eyes.
Yeah.
And this movie is really surreal because Mima's dealing kind of with a sort of almost nervous breakdown.
Yeah.
And she's kind of created this persona of her idol self. And it's a personification of her like self-doubt and her insecurities, and like it's the voice in the back of her head that says you shouldn't leave the idol group. You need to keep doing what you're doing. Why are you trying to do more with your life?
And just making her feel like more and more like garbage for everything she does.
And then saying that she's like, it's all your fault that they're dying. You could have stopped this by being who you're supposed to be. Like, see, you're not the actress Mima, you're the idol Mima. And you have that coupled with the actual situation that's going on, and it creates a really surreal experience where we're seeing the movie through Mima's eyes, and you don't really know what's real anymore.
Yeah, that's why I was saying. And that's what
the animation really helps.
There's a lot of moments where, like, a scene will just replay, and you're like, "What? Didn't we just do this?" And then it'll be different. And there was one scene towards the end where it was just over and over and over again. And I'm not gonna lie, I was getting a little irritated until, like, the last one when it finally moved forward.
Yeah.
Which, that's one of the things that I will kind of, I don't want to say I don't like about it, but it's one of the things I will say is, and I don't care what the intention was. I don't care if the intention was to disorient the audience. Mm-hmm. I still don't like it because it just felt like wasted time. You know, where you could really tell the story in a way where people have at least a sense of what's going on. Mm-hmm. I mean, you still get the gist, and you still get somewhat of the vibe of what they're trying to put out. But so much of it is just like, what the fuck is going on? Mm-hmm. Why are we replaying this scene? Why? You're asking yourself why a lot, but you're not asking why. Like, why did so and so do this? Why did so and so do that? You're asking, why did we just do this?
Well, and in the movie's defense, the way I felt, it was like things seemed to go and be very repetitive, I think, for her. Like, when she was an idol singer, you know, every day kind of felt the same. You know, you greet the fans, you do the show, you do the dances, you do the interviews, you do that little podcast they do. And then, like, as an actress, same thing. You report to work, you do the scene, until the really kind of crazy one.
Well, and I get that, but, like, do something for the audience to where, like, they know they're not just gonna watch a scene over again.
Right.
Like do something. I'm not saying
I'm not
it
saying
has to be, but you know what I mean. I'm not saying like they have to straight up say to you, "This is real."
Yeah,
this
I'm not
is
saying your opinion's invalid for that. It's just I think that's what the movie was trying to get across.
Yeah, and there
and it's something you kind of have to read into to get that.
And the thing is, I know that a lot of it was intentional. After the movie, there was an interview with Satoshi Kon.
Oh, that's cool.
And it was definitely what they were going for. Mm-hmm. Whether or not it worked, I mean, let me put it this way. People like the movie, but I don't think everybody that likes the movie gets the movie. Mm-hmm. I'm one of those people. I liked the movie, but I didn't get the movie. Yeah. I got, well, let me rephrase that. I got part of, like, the message. I got the message, but as far as the actual story, like, usually it's weird. Sometimes it's like you get the plot, but you don't understand the message.
Right.
This was, I understood the message. I didn't quite understand the plot all the way through. And then when you get to, like, the very end, it's like, what? Wait a minute! Who the fuck have we been following this whole time?
And I
liked it, don't get me wrong.
Yeah, I think it's one of the most exhilarating climaxes I've seen in a long time. It's one of the great chases. It's and at that point you've been driven to this like kind of delirium, the same as Mima, so you're not even sure what's happening.
Yeah, and you don't know if it's real.
And it's just really effective. And I think it's I think it's a classic for good reason. And it's a shame that it's not as more available.
Yeah.
For people to consume, whether it's on like a streaming service or on DVD, because it's a fantastic movie.
Well, I think for two reasons. Number one, I think because of the time period it came out, mm-hmm. I don't think it has the fanfare that most companies who would release this kind of stuff would want it to have. But number two, even if it did, I think one of the main reasons they don't want to re-release it is because they probably assume either A, anybody who has it would have it already, or B, this would be one of those movies that like people would watch it, not get it, and not buy it. I mean, not understand it, mm-hmm. and then like want refunds or just not. It wouldn't keep people. They're probably worried that confusion wouldn't have people coming back.
Maybe,
and that's a valid. If that's true, that's a valid
and
point. I could see where they would think that.
And I feel like there's enough of a demand. I think there's. Even if you do like a print on demand thing,
yeah, that would be fine.
That would be something to do. It's
a
probably
proper
got
DVD or Blu-ray
with rights and
a proper DVD and Blu-ray release would be good. I'm just saying, I just hope they don't expect this to be like I just don't think it would be like a smash. Even nowadays, now that it has all that hype, I don't think it would be a smash hit.
Mm-hmm.
But I definitely think I absolutely believe it's worth checking out.
Yeah, definitely. You have any other things you want to say about it?
Just don't watch it expecting a linear plot, and you'll be fine. Just expect that shit off the wall. I'll say that I will give the movie credit for this. It does get crazy at times. It does get a little graphic, but I don't think it goes super over the top.
Right.
Which is weird to say, but like having seen the movie, but yeah. This is definitely, like you put it, if you're someone who's really into film, like this is just a good movie all around. Mm-hmm. If you want to get your foot in the door with anime, particularly anime films, because I feel like anime films and anime TV shows are completely different as far as production values and stuff like that. This is definitely one to get into if you want to do like one that isn't part of a franchise. Like if you don't want to do a Dragon Ball Z movie or a One Piece movie or a Naruto movie. This is definitely one you wanna get in on.
And it's also like if you're getting into anime and you're starting here, I mean that might be you might want to do some research first.
Yeah.
But it's a fantastic movie to get into. It sets the bar pretty high, and it's one of the great classic films and one of the great classic anime directors.
Yeah, if you're new to anime, watch this one dubbed. I would say that's one less thing you have to focus on.
True.
But that's going to wrap it up for our talk on Perfect Blue. Let us know what you think about it in the comments section below. Tell us what you think. Tell us we're wrong. Tell us we don't fucking get it. Tell us we're a bunch, like I said, tell us we're a bunch of dumbass weebs who wouldn't know a good anime if it bit us.
And what are those good anime?
Yeah, tell us. You're so smart. Tell us. Do it. I'm
going to be less confrontational. I'd like you to tell me so we can have more ideas for shows.
I'm bringing it on, yeah. And also, if you have the guts, throw us a suggestion. Tell us stuff you'd like to see us watch, movies, TV shows, shorts, anything anime related. We'll be happy to check it out. And don't forget to hit the bell after you subscribe so you can get notified of all upcoming videos, including future anime talks, future podcasts, future Criterion Connections, and all other stuff. Condish Productions. But until the next time, guys, I'm Scott.
And I'm Joe.
And we will catch you later.